25. It's good to see so many funny people together in one room, all wondering the same thing.
The Def Comedy Jam 25 event brought together a host of comedic talents, creating an electric atmosphere charged with laughter and anticipation. Yet, beneath the surface of the celebration, a lingering question hung in the air. Would Katt Williams make an appearance? His name carried weight, not just for his comedic genius, but for the storm of controversy he had stirred in recent years. Williams had become a polarizing figure, not merely for his humor, but for his bold claims about the darker undercurrents of Hollywood. His outspokenness had sparked debates, lawsuits, and federal investigations, transforming him into a figure who seemed to wield knowledge that rattled the entertainment industry's foundations. The tension surrounding Williams stemmed from his explosive interview on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay Shay podcast, where he unleashed a barrage of allegations against some of Hollywood's biggest names. He didn't hold back, accusing industry giants of compromising their integrity for fame and power. Among the names he dropped were Snoop Dogg, Steve Harvey, and Sean Diddy Combs, alongside music mogul Lucien Grange. Williams suggested that these figures were entangled in a web of moral and legal transgressions, hinting at systemic corruption within the entertainment world. At the time, many dismissed his claims as the ravings of a man unhinged, a comedian spiraling into conspiracy. But as time passed, the narrative shifted. Federal investigations began to uncover evidence that appeared to validate Williams' assertions, turning what was once labeled as gossip into potential courtroom evidence. Williams' boldness came from a place of fearlessness. He spoke of facing consequences without flinching, arguing that fear breeds hesitation, and hesitation halts progress. For him, stopping was not an option, not for himself, not for Snoop Dogg, not for anyone caught in the industry's grip. He alluded to a culture where careers were built on compromises, where individuals metaphorically sat on the director's lap to secure their place in the spotlight. According to Williams, many had sold their soul to occupy positions of power, a claim that resonated chillingly as lawsuits and allegations began to surface in 2024. The timing of these revelations was striking. Shortly after Williams' interview, lawsuits emerged that seemed to corroborate his claims. One significant case involved producer Lil Rod, who filed a lawsuit against Universal Music Group, alleging that the company, under Lucien Grange's leadership, was complicit in illicit activities tied to Diddy. The suit suggested that Diddy was not an independent operator, but rather a cog in a larger machine, with Grange allegedly aware of or involved in questionable activities at Diddy's infamous parties. These weren't mere rumors. They were formal allegations now under federal scrutiny. Williams had hinted at this dynamic long before the lawsuits, implying a relationship between Grange and Diddy that raised eyebrows. The media, rather than delving into these claims, initially turned on those who amplified them, accusing them of sensationalism. Yet, as more evidence came to light, the narrative began to shift. Candace Owens, a commentator known for her willingness to challenge powerful figures, emerged as a key supporter of Williams' credibility. She pointed out that his allegations predated the lawsuits, suggesting he possessed insider knowledge that others lacked. Owens didn't mince words, describing Hollywood not as an industry but as a gang, a criminal enterprise operating with impunity. She argued that the lack of consequences for blatant crimes, such as those allegedly committed by Diddy and caught on camera, pointed to a deeper systemic issue. Her endorsement of Williams wasn't just a defense of his character. It was an acknowledgement that his intelligence operation, as she called it, had been collecting damning information for decades. Williams himself claimed to have spent 30 years gathering intelligence on Hollywood's underbelly. While others chased fame, he was quietly documenting the industry's darkest secrets. "I know so many things I shouldn't know," he declared, a statement that sent shivers through the entertainment world. His knowledge wasn't speculative. It was backed by what he described as receipts, evidence that could expose the truth about private parties, closed-door meetings, and the compromises that fueled careers. This wasn't the voice of a conspiracy theorist, but of someone who had meticulously observed and recorded the industry's inner workings. The federal investigations into Diddy's activities brought Williams' claims into sharper focus. A key witness, Courtney Burgess, testified before a grand jury about possessing 11 flash drives allegedly containing compromising videos from Diddy's freak-off parties. These drives, reportedly obtained from Kim Porter, Diddy's late ex-girlfriend and the mother of 4 of his children, contained footage of 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women, appearing intoxicated or under the influence. Burgess also claimed to have a manuscript of Porter's memoir, which her children have disputed as fake. The testimony wasn't speculative chatter. It was part of a federal case, with prosecutors treating the materials as credible evidence. Burgess's account, shared both on a podcast and under oath, underscored the gravity of the situation. Federal authorities had seized his devices, but he claimed to have backups, suggesting the evidence was substantial enough to warrant serious investigation. The mention of Snoop Dogg in these proceedings added another layer of intrigue. Burgess alleged that the flash drives contained compromising images of Snoop with Diddy alongside other prominent figures like Andre Harrell. These weren't isolated claims. They aligned with broader accusations about the entertainment industry's use of compromise to control artists. Suge Knight, the former Death Row Records CEO, provided further context from his unique vantage point. Serving a life sentence with nothing to lose, Knight spoke candidly about the industry's practices, accusing Diddy and others of engaging in compromising behavior as part of a larger system of control. He claimed that this wasn't a one-off, but a decades-long pattern where victims became perpetrators, perpetuating a cycle of coercion. Knight's account of Snoop Dogg's behavior during Tupac Shakur's 1996 shooting added a chilling historical dimension. According to Knight, Snoop was conspicuously absent from the hospital where Tupac lay fighting for his life. When Snoop finally appeared at Knight's home, alongside Tupac's mother, he was overcome with emotion, crying and vomiting in a way that suggested deep guilt. Knight interpreted this as evidence that Snoop had made a deal that distanced him from Tupac during his final moments. The absence of Snoop, a supposed close friend, at such a critical time raised questions about his loyalties and the pressures he faced within the industry. The allegations extended beyond personal betrayals to systemic practices. Knight described a culture where artists were subjected to initiation rituals, such as the so-called boiled egg test, a bizarre and disturbing practice allegedly used to gauge an individual's willingness to comply with industry demands. According to street sources, Snoop had passed this test, a claim that gained traction due to his public obsession with boiled eggs. While this might seem trivial on the surface, it pointed to a deeper mechanism of control, where artists were tested and compromised to ensure their loyalty. Federal investigations into Diddy's activities appeared to corroborate such rituals, with witnesses describing tapes that documented celebrities in compromising situations. Kim Porter's role in this saga added a tragic dimension. As Diddy's long-term partner, she allegedly documented the compromising situations she witnessed, preserving evidence that could expose powerful figures. Her sudden death in 2018 from pneumonia at the age of 47 raised suspicions, particularly given the timing. A healthy woman of her age typically doesn't succumb to pneumonia unless her immune system is severely compromised. The emergence of her alleged memoir and the flash drive suggested she was aware of the dangers she faced, potentially making her a target for those who feared her knowledge. The federal raids on Diddy's properties further intensified the scrutiny. Homeland Security investigations didn't conduct such operations lightly. They targeted materials believed to support criminal charges. Witnesses claimed that the seized tapes included A-list celebrities, including Snoop Dogg, in compromising situations. One accuser, identified only as LB, spoke of being unaware of her own victimization until the tapes surfaced, describing A-list celebrities who had smiled in her face while knowing they were implicated. Her testimony hinted at the tapes' eventual release, suggesting that the public might soon see undeniable evidence of the industry's dark side. Snoop Dogg's response to the Diddy allegations was telling. In interviews, he expressed surprise at the developments, distancing himself from any knowledge of illicit activities. He positioned himself as a benevolent figure, a better boss who treated people well, contrasting himself with the industry figures he claimed to have learned from. This carefully crafted narrative seemed designed to deflect suspicion, a tactic often employed by those aware of their own vulnerability. Innocent individuals don't typically respond to a friend's legal troubles by promoting their own virtues. They express shock and support for justice. Snoop's calculated distance suggested an awareness of the stakes and a desire to separate himself from the unfolding scandal. The broader implications of these revelations were staggering. If figures like Snoop Dogg, beloved icons of hip-hop, were implicated in these compromising situations, how many other celebrities were entangled in the same web? The industry's rapid abandonment of Diddy, with former allies claiming ignorance, pointed to a coordinated effort to protect a larger system. Knight's testimony from prison, unburdened by career concerns, lent credibility to the idea that Hollywood operated as a criminal enterprise, using compromise to maintain control over its stars. His claim that nobody is stepping up to defend Diddy suggested that many were complicit, aware that their own secrets could be exposed.